Hello and welcome back to Aston Villa from the stands. If you are new around here, then be sure to smash that subscribe button. We are very close to 14,000 subscribers. So if you are new, then please help me get over that line. Second of all, smash a like and, of course, get in the comment section about today's topics because it's really clear we have lots to talk about. Douglas Luiz, is there going to be a shock return for him? I know this is going to raise a few eyebrows for sure. Everton seemed like they want to open talks with Jaden Phiolgene and Kosta Nedeljković. A loan deal seems imminent. And where will he be heading? All of that will be covered today. So make sure you lock in and watch all the way through this video. And of course, in each segment on each player, please let me know your thoughts. So let's get straight into it. Douglas Luiz. Of course, one of our big names that left in the summer with Moussa Diaby. We almost had to sell Dougie to make room for PSR and financial gain, but the Douglas Luiz return, could it be on the cards? Well, why are we saying this? Because this story has broken today. And of course, there's been whispers and rumours about this for quite a while. But of course, this broke today. Breaking. Two Premier League clubs want to sign Douglas Luiz from Juventus. Luiz is very open to returning to the Premier League. Juventus are considering loan plus obligation offers. That came at 7 minutes past 2 today. So, really, really fascinating story there, especially from an Aston Villa perspective. It isn't clear 100% who these two Premier League clubs will be. However, there is a real big indication that Aston Villa should be prime and set for this. We all know that Douglas Luiz left Manchester City, went to try and find a path elsewhere, and Aston Villa was his home. And we gave Dougie some of his best memories, best moments, and basically elevated that amazing move for him to go abroad. However, it has just not worked out for Douglas Luiz, and he has had a really, really difficult time with Juventus. He's completely fell down the pecking order. He's had hardly any game time. And as you can see here on the screen right now, Dougie really is scratching for minutes. And this one here, 9 matches in Serie A, 0 goals, 0 assists. The numbers that every Villa fan would probably have to wipe clean of their eyes, because Dougie with no assists, Dougie with no goals, that's not the Dougie we know. And not only that, he's also found himself receiving a red card in crucial games such as the Champions League outing they had. And basically, enough was enough. And Dougie is literally now being disposed of at Juve after only being there for a whopping 4 to 5 months. If that is the case, then which other teams could be interested in Douglas Luiz? Well, in my opinion, Manchester City, again, a team who need to find that void in the midfield with no Rodri, have the likes of Kovacic in there, who has also come back and helped support them. But players like Matheus Nunes not really stepped up or delivered. You've had players like Rico Lewis have to come inside, Phil Foden having to play out of position, and Kevin De Bruyne with hit and miss injuries. And I do wonder if Dougie could be open to return to go to the club that first brought him to England in Manchester City. However, if we're concentrating on Aston Villa, then in my opinion, a Douglas Luiz homecoming is very much a welcome. And I would like to know if you Villa fans are in the category that you would love to see Dougie come back. The only concern I would have is that central mid position is a position I feel Aston Villa are already really heavy in, with the likes of Kamara, Yuri Tillemans, Ross Barkley, and Onana all fighting out for what I would say is a double pivot in that role. The only other thing you could see is Dougie playing a more advanced role and up alongside our striker and playing in that pocket, the role in which you've seen John McGinn do, and of course recently Yuri Tillemans. So I do wonder, is Douglas Luiz coming back to Aston Villa worth it, especially if it's going to be a big outlay? Well, the rumours are circulating that if Dougie was to return, we'd be looking at paying around 30 to 40 million euros, that is. Juve are already willing to take a 10 million loss on their 50 they got from us. But in my opinion, if it's a loan deal with the option to buy after, I'm welcoming Dougie home. And so that's what I'm asking you. Would you welcome Douglas Luiz back? Also, if you do feel like Dougie was to return to the Premier League, what other suitors could you see? Potentially Arsenal. They've always been in the mix with Dougie. But for me, I think Aston Villa will be his number one priority. He loved his time here. And I just would love to see Dougie come home. What a player he was. Great numbers, great returns. On to our next story then, and this is the one of none other than Everton. And again, a weird club. And I just don't know if this is a good move or not. And the reason why I say this is because Everton Football Club have been terrible for years and years and years. And I just feel a move to them is a move that really slows down your career, and if not, it takes it sideways. But Fabrizio Romano has reported today at basically 10:15 this morning, Everton have opened talks to sign Jaden Phiolgene on a permanent deal. Now, we talked about earlier that a few videos ago, this is a few days ago now, the idea of Philogene going out on loan to a Premier League club, and one of those clubs being Ipswich Town. And I've toyed with the idea of the fact that Philogene trying to play week in, week out in a relegation fight, with a possibility then of impressing and maybe getting a permanent move with a good outlay. Or potentially, as I'm thinking, it could be that he comes back from his loan and really kicks on Aston Villa. But a permanent move to Everton now really is an interesting one for me. An interesting one for Philogene himself. Because as I just said, I feel like Everton is a club that you just don't want to touch with a barge pole as a player. I think it's killed a lot of careers. I think a lot of careers have gone sideways, if not backwards. And I just wonder, is Philogene going to be the right fit for them? However, on the contrary, if you look at Everton and you look at their squad in general, which I'll get up now, it is a position in which he would absolutely walk in. This was Everton's recent lineup against Bournemouth at the weekend when they lost 1-0. And if you look here, the wingers in Ndai and Lindstrom, and Ndai being probably Everton's best player this season, aside from that, they really do lack any out-and-out wingers. You look at the likes of the bench and Calvert-Lewin and Beto, two strikers coming on, and Nathan Patterson. And you go even further, and you see that Jack Harrison is their only other recognisable winger. So when you look at Everton's wide options, and of course Dwight McNeil out injured as well, Everton really could do with a winger, and Philogene may fit their bill. Sean Dyche likes the ball to be crossed, delivered, a hard-working winger as well. And we know when we've seen Philogene play this season, his performances against Manchester United, against Bayern Munich, have been ones in which people have sort of praised his defensive output rather than his attacking. So I actually do look at it and think, you know what? This is a Sean Dyche type of player, Philogene. And I think, again, for Everton, it could be a big purchase. But for Philogene, I would hold reservation. Now, the question is, Villa fans and neutrals, how much would you want for Philogene to go to Everton? I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section. How much do you think Philogene is worth? I think if we can get 15 to 20 million for Philogene, I think we snap your hand off. So thank you very much. Thanks for coming. We'll invest that in someone like Donyell Marlin. So the waiting game now on the price of that, and we'll keep an eye on that story. And finally, then, the one in which, again, it's got to be talked about in terms of our summer recruitment into January. Now, I know we got this player last January, and he's only been with us for a year. But if you look at this player in Kosta Nedeljković, he, of course, has had an interesting time at Villa. We signed him on January, and we let him stay at his club, Red Star Belgrade. We then allowed him to come in the summer, and I really thought that with our right-back option only being Matty Cash, that this guy would play a lot more game time. It's just not to be. Unai Emery has not found a place for Kosta Nedeljković, despite him in the first game of the season featuring, and then, of course, in the game following up. But it does seem that he has completely fallen off Unai Emery's plans. And Unai has talked about the need for Kosta to go and develop his first-team football and play a more seasoned game, and, of course, experience a tougher league than what it was at Red Star Belgrade. So this story comes in. Valencia have contacted Aston Villa to find out the conditions of a possible transfer for Kosta Nedeljković. Now, when we talk about a possible transfer, that can mean a whole type of things. Is that a loan or is that another one? Well, there was one story coming in there from Serp Valencia, and then we had another source here just to confirm that. But the same question has to be asked. Is this a transfer or is this a loan? Now, when I think about this, and as you can see, Valencia, and this was a few hours later, Valencia have now formally requested the transfer. So it's now a proper discussion. But I'm asking the question still, transfer or loan? But I think it is really clear that we are not going to sell Kosta Nedeljković unless a replacement is found. And this was then how this story ends here with this article, which is Unai Emery won't sanction a loan until a replacement is signed. So when we look at Kosta Nedeljković, he's not going to go to Valencia permanently, but he's going to go on loan. And that is where it will only happen if Aston Villa get a replacement in. Which, if you look at everything in which we've talked about in the last few videos, Villa are poised and eyeing up a defender. We've had a look at Wesley Franke, and now we've had a look at Oscar Mingueza. Villa definitely want to get a right-sided defender, whether it's a right centre-back in a free, or whether it's an out right back. And therefore, it is clear to me that we probably told Valencia, you can have Kosta on loan. This is a brilliant move. Remember as well, Enzo Barrenechea, another Villa player that we got from Juventus and we've had to loan out. He is at Valencia. So a little bit of a relationship building with them. But nevertheless, it is very clear to me that Villa are going to be signing a winger because of Philogene going and a right-sided defender. Two positions that all the fan base know we need to address. And it does look like Aston Villa are going to address that. So with that being said, I would love to know your thoughts and comments on Kosta Nedeljković. Do you believe he should have had more first-team action at Aston Villa? Do you think he was given a fair chance? Or do you think this loan move makes sense with maybe the option that Valencia go and permanently sign him? We'll have to wait and see. But that's our transfer news for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Remember all the good stuff, liking, commenting, and of course subscribing if you're new. We'll move on to the next one tomorrow, see what news Villa brings. If you do want to catch any other videos that you may have missed on this channel, then you can click right up there. That's me done. I'm out of here. Ta-da.